Shabbat Shalom, my friends. First of all, a shout out of deep concern for all of those suffering from that Arctic vortex, which is bringing astonishing cold to so many parts of the United States. Please be careful. Stay home, study Torah. And to add insult to injury, a shout out of concern for those in Australia suffering from an extraordinary heat wave. Please be careful. Stay at home and study Torah. Secondly, this is a very special Shabbat. Actually, it's a very special Saturday, technically, because Saturday is National Have Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. I do hope that out of a sense of patriotic fervor and knowing that non-dairy options are available, we can all join in this celebration. The ice cream police will be out there checking on us. So eat ice cream Saturday morning. Our Sedra is Mishpatim, Exodus 21:1. Well, the plagues are over. No more frogs, no more blood, no more locusts. The Israelites have escaped from Egypt. The sea divided, then they made it to Mount Sinai. And what a pyrotechnic show they witnessed as Moses received the tablets of stone on which the 10 Commandments were engraved. But now what? Now the really hard part of the story of our people begins, because now we have to learn what it means not just to be a gathering of tribes, but to be a people, not just a group of somewhat like-minded people, but a people covenanted with God. Not just individuals working every day so as to survive and perpetuate their families and to preserve their possessions, but we are emerging as a sacred people with a mission to transform the world. This is where the hard part really begins. 1996, Richard Carlson wrote a book with a wildly attractive title, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. Carlson wanted us to put all of our challenges into perspective, to refuse to be overwhelmed by all of the tasks that our bosses, our families, our organizations, even our own internal monitors, in fact, just about everybody, expect us to accomplish today, if not yesterday. Carlson, focus our energies, prioritize, reduce internal pressure, and then resolve those challenges step by step, one at a time, learning while we go. Carlson, step by step, step by step. I'm normally, to be honest, not very attracted to self-help books, but Carlson's thesis really does apply to our Sedra. So we've been to the big quaking mountain. We know what the really big challenges that we will be confronting are. You know that the Israelites were almost frightened to death by what happened at Sinai. The Midrash tells us that the people fled backward from the mountain, and I can understand that. They didn't want to hear. They literally, physically could not stand to hear. Covenant, mission, holy people. Way too much. Way too much. No wonder that for some, dancing around a golden calf would become a welcome break from what had really become overwhelming. No wonder that some of the people began whining and wailing that they wanted to go back to the flesh pots of Egypt, to go back to slavery. This freedom business was far more than they had bargained for. So now we are reading Mishpatim, a compendium of some of the basic rules surrounding how this people is expected to live. To live not at Sinai, but to live in their homes and their places of work as they prepared their meals and raised their kids. God was showing them in our Sedra the small stuff now. No more grand discussions about a covenanted life. Now we're going to look at our quotidian existences. These are the ordinary rules that you should set before the people. Rashi chimes in to assure us that the small stuff was also revealed at Sinai. It was important from day one for the people to understand that God cares about how we live our ordinary lives. Because, my friends, we're forbidden to stay at Sinai. It will be one of the glories of Judaism that how we live when it is not Shabbat, not Rosh Hashanah, not Yom Kippur, how we live those not days really do count. Ibn Ezra adds that this was done with great self-awareness. God knew that what will make the Jewish people different from all of the other nations of the world would be its willingness to celebrate day by day the small stuff. Ramban, with his embrace of a world richer and deeper than what we encounter on the surface of existence, wants us to understand that even the small stuff contains hints pointing toward the really profound truths. For example, when we're told not to work on the Shabbat, the seventh day, when we're told that we are to let our fields lie fallow every seventh year, seven, those are intended to point toward the reality that God created the world in 6 days and on the seventh God rested. The simple observance of rest points to a grand truth of existence. In fact, there are hints of the big truths found in almost every task that our Sedra indicates that we are commanded to perform. We could add that when laws are stated about how to treat slaves, and yes, slavery is permitted under control in the Torah, we're absorbing the fact that even slaves are human beings. They are not property in Jewish law the way land or houses are property, and that every human being was created b'tselem, in the image of God. And Abarbanel wants us to understand that how we handle property rights, or how we regulate commerce, or how we utilize the testimony of witnesses in our courts, all of these Mishpatim, all of this small stuff, all of it flows from the Ten Commandments. Every little thread in the tapestry of Jewish existence comes together into one magnificent creation. There are so many intriguing hints scattered throughout our Sedra. Time for only one last one. If you read our Sedra carefully, it appears really chaotic. Laws dealing with slavery, laws dealing with Sukkot, laws dealing with manslaughter, laws dealing with Pesach, laws dealing with caring for the widow and the orphan, laws dealing with resting on Shabbat, laws dealing with letting land lie fallow, laws dealing with Shavuot. Do you feel the contrast? Ritual laws, ethical laws, laws of sacrifice, and laws safeguarding the poorest of the poor, laws setting up a sacred calendar, and laws demanding that we worship God with kavanah, with intense focusing, side by side, mixed together. Here's the point. The small things of Jewish living aren't separated into two silos, as if there were God's silo containing all of the religious stuff and the people's silo containing all of the rules governing human human interactions. That's not what Judaism is. Our concern for our fellow human beings must match our concern for finding the holy in life. The religious and the ethical are totally intertwined. The widow's tears and the joy of the Sabbath bride are one and the same. How we live is of deep concern to our tradition. Step by step, small step followed by small step, small stuff building upon small stuff. That's how Torah wants us to respond to the great truths that were revealed at Sinai. It's not too much for us. It's not meant to overwhelm us. It's in our hearts. It's in our hands. All we have to do is go out and live it. We can do that. Yep, that's it for today. Stay warm, Australia. Stay cool. Remember that the power of Sinai was overwhelming. That we are still asked to live our lives step by step with the small stuff. And my friends, the small stuff is what really matters. Shabbat Shalom. Don't forget ice cream on Saturday. Have a great weekend. Shabbat Shalom.